Hey guys, Kev here, and I have two Kansepts to show you. So these are two newer Kansept knives. Interesting knives from Kansept. This one is from Greg over at Sparrow Knife Co. I love Greg. He's a great dude. Does some awesome stuff. And as I understand it, he's no longer doing production runs of the Strix and stuff like that. Directly. He's doing custom stuff now. He's got a CNC machine going, and so he's trying to make all his in-house stuff in-house. And then he's licensing design still to OEM. So he's got, knives with Kansept and stuff like that. So I think that's really cool. He's one of the few makers that, was out there saying, I'm doing this pre-order so that I can order a CNC machine so I can buy, machinery to make knives in-house. And I feel like he's one of the only ones that did that and stopped, has learned how to use the CNC and started doing that versus realizing, I can just make money ordering these production runs and just keep doing it. So I thought that was interesting, but he's still got really cool licensed designs with Kansept, so you can get some of his knives more affordably. And I think it's good to have those options for a custom knife maker like that. We all wish we could make the knives ourselves, but we don't all possess those skills. And Greg is definitely one of the guys that possesses that skill. He can make a mean knife. So shout out to Sparrow Knife Co. Love the dude. And this is the Baba Yaga. Now, I wanted this knife basically because of the name. I didn't even look at the design. I just heard there was a Baba Yaga and had to get it. Now, this was sent to me by White Mountain Knives. I reached out to Justin over there and asked him if he could send me one to check out because Kansept told me they did not have them yet. They weren't available yet, so they couldn't send me one. And White Mountain Knives had them, which is interesting. But I believe Kansept now does have these for sale because I checked White Mountain Knives first. Obviously, I wanted to send you guys there because they were kind enough to send me the knife to review. This is going to go back to White Mountain Knives. Now, this guy was $259, and you're talking about 20 CV, I believe. Yep, 20 CV, titanium, 80s camo carbon. You could thank me for that one because we started sending Kansept camo carbon for our knives, and then they started putting them on their knives, which is great because I much prefer this over the Chinese knockoff fat carbon. This stuff is sick. Obviously, I love 80s, and yeah, so great job there by Kansept. $259. Now it's not available. So I do want to check if they have any versions available. I have so much trouble with this website on mobile. I don't know what it is. Baba Yaga. So there's a version with some Damascus and Damascus. That one is available for $336. We have a version in Blackwash with Nebula. See, that's that Chinese fat carbon, which is gross. That's available as well, and probably because they used that fat carbon. I really wish they would stop. If you guys watch this, please stop using that stuff. I know it's cheaper for you, but nobody likes it. I mean, I guess let me know in the comments if you like that versus this. Okay? And when I say this, I mean this type of camo carbon, fat carbon. Like, this is the same stuff. This is black pearl. This is electric blue. Do you prefer this style or that? I know the answer, but just going to ask it. There's actually a Boker Baba Yaga. Who knew that? There's that one. Here's a plain titanium one for $199. So that's cool. That one's out of stock as well. There's the 80s one. And then there's one with Damascus and the gold or copper carbon fiber. So they are out of stock there. This is the other knife I'm going to show you shortly. But I did want to check and see if the Baba Yaga is, look, add to cart, add to cart, add to cart. So they do have it, $259. Now you're not going to be able to use Lefty10 to get 10% off, but at least it's available. So if you're interested in this knife, I will link Kansept down below. It does help the channel if you use the link, but that's up to you. All right, but shout out to White Mountain Knives. Use the code Lefty10 over there for 10% off pretty much any knife. Now, what do I like about this knife? Well, I like the overall design. I think it's a good looking knife. It's a little bit unique, obviously, but it does stand out to me in a good way. I like the way it looks. I like the ergonomics of the handle. If I grip it back here, I can kind of put my thumb back here on this ramp and I'm locked in. If I choke up like this, I can put my thumb up here and lock in. It's really nice that you have that option. The inlay is done really well. For the price point, I think it's excellent. Nice pocket clip. You have your relief cuts here. A lot of people don't like external relief cuts. A lot of people always ask, why don't people put the relief cuts inside all the time? And the answer to that question, if you look at the next knife, actually, they have it internally, right? Now, it's a design feature. I believe it's also a little bit harder to do it inside. But the main reason, I think, is you tend to get better spring on the lock bar if you do it externally. Now, there's exceptions to that rule. Obviously, but I've noticed whenever there's an internal relief cut, if I have issues with the lock bar where it's a little bit wonky, like you ever have a lock bar that just feels wrong, like the spring just doesn't feel right, it doesn't just kind of spring back to you, or it's like super soft almost, which can cause detent problems, right? A lot of times when I see that, it's because they have an internal relief cut as well. It's just something I've noticed. I don't know if that's a contributor. I've talked to some manufacturers who are adamant that doing a relief cut internally is bad. It doesn't help the detent. It can make your detent kind of mushy. So that, I think, is the main reason. And I also think for most knife makers, it's obviously a lot easier to do the relief cuts on the outside, and then that's going to tend to translate over to their just designs in general, even though when you're talking about full CNC, they could easily do it inside. So I don't know, it's an interesting topic. I'd love to do a deep dive on that and maybe learn some more and test and stuff like that, but yeah. Very cool. I love the inlay on this side. The blade shape's nice. You have a really nice hollow grind. Kansept does not do a lot of hollow grinds. In fact, this is one of the only knives I've ever had from them that is hollow ground. Now, if you get them to do OEM work, you can definitely get a hollow grind. Let me show you. Actually, I have this really cool, where is it? Oh no. I don't know where it is. Oh, I really wanted to show that off. That is unfortunate. Where the heck did I hide that thing? Okay. Oh, here it is. Okay. Sorry. So this is the Divo and traditionalpocketknives.com Lush. And it's our design, and we worked with Traditional Pocket Knives on it. And this has a nice hollow ground blade. And Kansept is the OEM on the version 1. Hint, hint, we're working on a version 2 right now. But the hollow grind is nice. They can do it. You just don't see it on their production knives or on their branded knives very often, but it's really cool to see it here. The reason I wanted to show you this knife is because Nathan's Knives did these beautiful purple box elderwood scales for it. He made these himself, obviously, and they look really cool. I really like this box elder. I don't know if that's something you could use, like, you know, in production. I don't know if it's really expensive, or it seems like it's pretty soft, so I could see that being an issue. But anyway, really nice, tall and deep hollow grind. I mean, it is very nice. It's got Evo, CKF Evo-ish qualities to it, which is really nice. So it's a nice slicer. But you still have a relatively decent, you know, tip. It's not going to be super thin or anything. They did a really good job with that. I really like the lock bar access. It's easy to get in there and disengage. The action is good. Drops real nice. The detent is solid. Now you'll notice throughout this video that I've been failing it a lot, and I'll be honest, I do not love the thumb studs on this knife. I just don't like the placement of them. They're all the way out here, and it just makes it where I tend to do that. Even though the detent's good, it's the angle for me. If they're down here, I have a better chance to fire them straight up. If you fire it straight up, it feels fine. The detent feels good in that sense. You can see it has a good click to it. It's got good resistance, good retention. No issues there. It's just the stud placement for me doesn't work great. I think maybe if you had larger hands, it would work better. I have a large glove size hand. So they're not tiny or anything, but I don't know. I think it has something to do with either that or just the angle. I have to get used to the knife. So if I carried this knife every day for a week, I'd probably get, you know, a lot more consistent with it. But I was kind of carrying it sporadically. The reverse flick is really good. Left-handed, because the detent's not crazy, or because of the clip here, I can easily fire it. But even with some pressure on the lock bar, it's a little bit tighter, but it still lets me reverse flick it nicely. So the stud is good for the reverse flick, in my opinion. I like it the best out of all the deployments. It's a little bit of a beefy boy. You've got a relatively thick handle here. Let's see. Yeah. 0.56. Now, it's heavily contoured, so it's not like obnoxious or anything, but it definitely is a chonky knife. So if you're looking for a thin, you know, knife, EDC style knife like that, this is not going to be your guy. This is a rather large knife in terms of overall, like, thickness and everything. The actual blade length is 3.1 inches cutting edge, and pretty much 3.1 inches overall. Handle length is 4.3. So it's not a huge knife. I'll show you a comparison. Well, I guess I could have just kept that lush out, but here's the fireball that I showed you earlier, which is, trying to remember exactly, 7 1/4, I believe. Overall, here is a stout V2, which is going to be 7 1/2, and that's going to be probably, yeah. So it's slightly bigger than the fireball and slightly shorter than the stout. So you're talking, you know, 7.3, something like that overall. So interesting. But yeah, I really like the knife. I think it's solid. It is probably the coolest design he's done with Kansept next to the Fenrir. I do love the Fenrir. It's one of my favorite lefty knives that I've ever had. Now, obviously, you can get it right-handed, but just an excellent knife. This is going to be more of an EDC, I think. It's just a little bit more, feels a little bit more compact, even though it's a larger knife. You know, if you put them side by side, it's just a little bit thinner, a little bit smaller overall footprint, even though it's not small by any means. But this is just a little bit of a chunker. But I really do like it. I love that hollow ground blade. So that is the Baba Yaga from Sparrow. And then we have the Loki here. And that one I'm failing because of the frame lock and I'm left-handed. The D10 on this is excellent. And this is a model that I've reviewed before. But the original version did not have this frag pattern, and it had a hot dog shaped hole. And a lot of you guys did not like that hot dog shaped hole. Now, I got to tell you, this is one of their best models. Like, it's just so comfortable in hand. The design is excellent. It really reminds me of a Oz Machine Company Roosevelt. And I mean that in the nicest way I possibly could. Obviously, it's not a copy. It's not that kind of situation. But it has that feel. The size has a really nice 50-50 choil. It melts into your hand. The only thing that I don't love about this knife is the fact that it's got thicker stock. Now, I feel like they thinned it down a little bit from the original. I kind of remember the original being a real chunker. But this is still relatively thick stock. And it's a flat grind. If they could do a hollow grind like they did on the Baba Yaga, just do a hollow on this, it would be an absolute monster. I did cut a ton of cardboard with this. Keep touching the frame lock. And it's good. But it definitely has a little bit of a wedgy feel. Feel like a wedge on thicker cardboard just because of that stock and the flat grind. But it's definitely serviceable. And as an EDC, it's really good for all tasks. And it's just such a sleek design. I don't even know if I've tried thumb flicking it. There you go. You can do it. Yeah, easy. But the reverse flick on this knife is incredible. This is an example of an internally done relief cut, and it's great. No issues with the detent on it. So, like I said, that's sort of a hit or miss thing, but I've just noticed more often than not with an internally done relief cut, it tends to have a little bit of a wonky relief cut has a little bit of a wonky lock bar detent feel. But this is such a good model, and I feel like it's just underrated. I do hope they make a lefty of this someday. I'm sure they won't because they only take like super popular models. But it would be cool to have one where I don't have to worry about that lock bar. And it's just so comfortable in hand. You have to get one to understand it, I think. But it's such a ergonomic knife, great size knife, and it just looks great too. I love that they got rid of the hot dog hole, and this frag is really deep. It's really well done. I was actually wondering if maybe the original didn't sell well. Maybe they took the original and just made a different hole and added frag to them and then resold them. I don't know. That would be interesting. But definitely worth checking out. This is in S35VN, and the price on this one is $166. So it comes in a bunch of different configurations. Oh no, there you go. You have the original one with the hot dog and everything, and there's the frag pattern. So really cool stuff. Highly recommend it. I will link it down below if you're interested. This one was sent to me by Kansept, so shout out to them for letting me check this guy out. I will probably add this to pass around, although I did send the other one around already. But I think people should check this out because it's really nice. So there you go, guys. That is the Loki. And this one, who's the designer on this again? I forget from last time. Stephen Dunnick design. So it's a Stephen Dunnick design. He's a mechanic by trade who loves long walks on the beaches. I don't know if that was a joke. In designing and building things that are fast, sharp, or deadly. Born and raised in Long Beach, California, he seeks adventure and craves adrenaline. That's pretty funny. But I think he has a really cool design here. So shout out to Stephen Dunnick. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Which one of these models would you prefer? The Loki or the Baba Yaga? Yeah, I'd love to hear about it down below. I can't get this off. I think I permanently marked up the black wash somehow because I've tried knife shield. I've tried alcohol. Can't get that little bit of what looks to be like tape residue off unless it's just, you know, the coating got worn somehow. But anyway, I love you guys. Check the links down below. If you have any questions, let me know as well. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you later. Peace.